All right, I'm live. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of A Little Bit of Everything, a show where it's pretty much open discussion for any subject that anybody would like to present. Um, I have things that I like to talk about, but at the same time, it's nice to have other people to want to participate unless you enjoy listening me talk the entire time. But anyway, um, usually I prefer doing these in the morning. However, um, this morning just didn't work out. Didn't uh, have a very restful night's sleep, and just this whole week has been rather challenging. Um, it's been raining here in Arizona, where I live, and it's been raining for about a week. It finally stopped yesterday afternoon, and of course, that's prevented me from working on my property. And I've actually felt the effects of that, like psychologically and emotionally. It was just challenging. So I finally was able to get back into it today, and it felt good to be outside again. Um, it's nice to get away from the screen and just get away from a lot of the drama on the internet. And so um, I was actually going to skip doing a stream today. Um, I figured, I could take a break. Been doing this now for over a week. But then again, it came upon me that no, too many people have expressed appreciation for the fact that I'm taking the time to do these. So, for that sake alone, I thought I'd come on here tonight. Um, Not sure exactly how long I'm going to be on here. Kind of depends on what kind of turnout there is and what kind of engagement I get. But um, for now, I'm here. And if you're watching this on playback, thank you for taking the time to do that. And um, so, anyway, I was looking at Twitter earlier, and I saw a video by somebody who goes by the name of Crypty Girl uh, on Twitter. And she did a great explainer video of how hex T-shares work. As a matter of fact, I think I'll pull that up just because. Let's see. Here we go. Let's see. Let me share this here real quick. And like I said, this is a great explainer video that was done today.
Just like all the wealthiest people in the world have their money working for them, how can we do the same thing? Maybe you want to sit on the beach and enjoy life, or maybe buy a new house, or like me, earn 69% APY through the entire bear market. Well, that's why you want to know what T shares are. So, when you buy and time lock HEX, you receive T shares. T shares stand for trillion share, and these T shares mine HEX for you daily. When your mining period is over and you reach your maturity date, Your T-shares get burned, and you receive compounded hex. On average, you will receive 6 hex per T-share per day. So how much hex does it take to receive 1 T-share? Well, the current T-share rate in February of 2024 is 32,000 hex, meaning it takes that much to time lock to receive at least 1 T-share. And at this time 1 year ago, it was only 25,000 hex. And 2 years ago, 20,000 hex. So as you can see, as time goes on, the cost of T-shares, the rate of T-shares is going up, and they're becoming increasingly scarce. If you were to currently time lock 100,000 of your hex at the current rate of 32,000 hex per T-share, you would receive at least 3 T-shares. How do we get more T-shares? There's a bigger pays better bonus where you lock up more of your hex, and a longer pays better bonus where you lock it up for a longer period of time. Both of those will get you extra T-shares. Why are T-shares so valuable? T-shares are deflationary. Hex launched with a total of 11 million T-shares. Only 9.6 million remain. To get the most value out of Hex, get as many T-shares as you can. That is money on the table, friends. Let your money work for you so you can go live a fulfilling, dreamy lifestyle. Please like and follow me for more valuable content, and you can learn more about and stake your Hex at hexscout.com. Thanks, friends.
So that was posted earlier today, and that is just a top-notch explanation of how the T-share system works. And I like the fact that she stated it very simply. And also the fact that she mentioned Hex Scout, which is a portfolio app, and it's also a means of acquiring Hex. They have an onboarding tool also. So I would definitely recommend Hex Scout if you're not aware of it. And yeah, that just was a great presentation. So apart from that, I do want to take a moment now to recognize a business. And excuse me, this is something that I've been doing on a regular basis, is taking a moment to say thank you to somebody, some business owner out there for doing something that is beneficial to, if not the Hex community, somebody in the Hex community for one reason or another. I've talked about before how we have at our disposal the means of creating our own economy because of what Richard has developed with Hex and Pulse Chain, PulseX, the incentive token, plus other inventions. We literally have a vertically integrated, decentralized ecosystem. And what we need to do with that is to create an economy. And part of having an economy is having people who are willing to produce in order to provide things of value that will be a benefit to those who are part of the economy. Now, this particular business isn't directly related to our ecosystem, but they donated to the food bank that I volunteer for. So in that sense, I do feel some kind of connection with this business. And prior to that, when I was still working for my previous employer, I would go to this place on a regular basis to buy things. And even though this particular business is a nationwide company, here in Arizona, at least, especially in my county, all of these stores are privately owned. So the business that I would like to highlight today, I will pull it up here. Let me share my screen. And oops, here we go. It is the Ace Hardware on Route 89A in Sedona, Arizona. As I said, the owner of this particular store recently donated to the food bank that I volunteer at, and I've done a lot of business here. So if you ever need hardware, I would very much recommend Ace, because now, like I said, this particular one, these are privately owned. So I'm only referring to this particular store in Sedona. I can't speak for all the others around the country, but I just want to call these guys out with a big thank you for their contribution to the food bank. You know, it's been said that a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. And, you know, the people who are down and out and are having difficulty making provision for themselves, you know, they need help. And I'm thankful for the opportunity that I have to help such people. And fortunately, you don't even have to be like down and out to receive a distribution of food from the food bank that I volunteer at. Anybody can just sign up and receive whatever is being available that particular day. So again, just wanted to thank them for their contribution in all of that. So another thing that I was considering introducing to this show to basically occupy time would be to start doing book reviews also. As I've said, I've been an avid reader my entire life, and I have a lot of books that I can recommend. And I don't have one prepared for now. This is just something that came to me today as I was working on my property. But one of the books that I've read is called The Upside of Down. And it's a book that I read back in the middle 2000s, around 2007 or so. Back then, I was a big observer and follower of something called peak oil. And this book was written in relationship to that. And the reason I was thinking about that book today is because the writer did an analysis of the construction of the Roman Colosseum. And through a mathematical formula, they determined how much food had to be grown to provide the nutritional energy for the humans and the animals that did labor to help build the Roman Colosseum. And I don't remember the exact number, but it was something to the effect that it took a field about the size of Manhattan, like every day for a year, to feed all the people and the animals that were involved in transporting material and constructing the Roman Colosseum. So, just kind of an interesting factoid there. There's been a lot of talk. I haven't heard it recently, but about a month or so back, there was a lot of talk about a lot of people suddenly taking interest in the Roman Empire. So just thought I'd throw that little factoid in there. When most people think about the Roman Empire, they usually think about the term bread and circuses, which was a distraction that the government was sponsoring to keep people's attention from the state of the government. And a lot of people compare that to now, and I really don't want to go into that because it really isn't necessary. Because, as I've said more than once, we have the tools at our disposal to literally manifest the ideal society and social order that we want. And so, as Buckminster Fuller said, if you want to, how did he say that? Basically, you don't complain if an existing model of something isn't cutting it, you don't complain about it. You make a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. So that's basically what I'm getting at, is that there's a lot of things in this world that are obsolete that people aren't necessarily aware of. And instead of moving on or making use of the tools to create new models, they just complain about the existing ones. And I don't waste my time doing that. I don't have any complaints about anything. So, with that, I guess it's kind of early in the show, but I might as well do it now. I want to move on to what I call the Hexagon of the Day Award. And this is something that I do each day to recognize somebody in the Hex community who may not be popular, may not be a content creator, but is still somebody who is there and is participating. Usually someone on Twitter that I follow or am aware of that is just doing what they can to make the space successful. Excuse me. And so I want to bring this person's Twitter account up. There we go. Now, this individual is someone that I don't know if I've had much dialogue with him. I don't remember. We follow each other, and I know we've liked each other's posts periodically. But apart from that, I don't really know this person on a personal level, but he's someone that I would like to get to know just because of his attitude, how he conducts himself online. So the person that I want to present with the Hexagon of the Day Award belongs to Mr. Paralyzed Hexakin 555. As I said, he's very consistent as far as the things that he talks about. And yeah, he's just someone that I respect in the community. And I look forward to getting to know him better in the future. So that is the Hexakin of the day. So congratulations, Mr. Paralyzed Hexakin 5555. So that's that. And I suppose I can pull up a one of our sites regarding Hex. Actually, what I might want to do, yeah, I'll pull this up. Wow. This chart's looking nice. Oh, that's the, hang on here. Bear with me here. I'm trying to pull up a price chart. And I'm not seeing, here we go. No, that's not it either. I may have to go over here. Sorry about this, folks. I wasn't really, like I said, I wasn't really prepared to do a formal presentation tonight, so I'm kind of winging it. And suddenly the chart is not coming up on another page. So now it looks like it's coming up. Here we go. All right, let me do this here. And I will share this screen. And so this is the Hex Com chart. And as you can see, we are looking at second day in a row of green on this chart. And we're approaching back to what looks like an all-time high as far as candle body is concerned, not wick height. But as I've said on more than one occasion, COM is my second favorite asset on Pulse Chain because of the fusion that it has with Hex. And as Johnny Sachs has brought out on numerous occasions, that the minting of COM is directly proportional to the T-shares. So even though the token supply of COM looks like it's insanely high because it's in the quadrillions, the fact is COM is a scarce token because the ability to mint it is diminishing as T shares diminish. So in a ratio sense, COM is actually more rare than HEX is. If you look at it in the literal sense, token, token quantity, you don't see that. But in the ratio proportion, because COM is related to the T share, COM is going to become increasingly rare, especially as you consider that people who stake for less than 6 months can't even claim COM. So those T shares don't even count. So as I've said, COM is my second favorite asset on PulseChain. And while we are looking at prices, let me pull up this chart. And this is the incentive token compared to Pulse. Now, this looks like, this is the daily chart. So let me zoom out a little bit. Okay. So this is the weekly chart. And, on the surface, it, looks like it's a disaster. But the fact is, for the last 3 weeks and for the last, for 5 of the past 6 weeks, we have been in the green. So we are starting to see some recovery with the incentive token. When it first launched, I mean, that thing was like $70. And, as this bull market comes back full swing, I believe this token is going to recover quite nicely. I don't have a crystal ball like some people, so I can't guarantee that, but I just feel good about it. And especially if the voting power associated with INK is initiated sometime this year, I think that's going to create a demand for this token. So that's my third favorite token, which is incentive. And I have to confess, I have not looked at any price charts today. So let's see what HEX is doing. Because, as I said, I don't know as of today. So this is the HEX Pulse chart. And looks like we are at 1.8 cents, which it's an improvement. We are recovering some. We actually have a long way to go to get back to that all-time high. Now, it can happen relatively quick, but again, I have no idea when. I can only do so much as one person. This is one of the reasons I'm making these live streams, is to just talk about the product, do whatever I can to try and drum up some interest in it, and contribute to the value proposition of the asset. And really, the greatest value proposition to this space is the people who are partakers of the space. And again, this is the primary reason of starting these live streams, is to do what I can to contribute to the creation of community. And when you're young, you have a tendency to not value community as much, because especially if you're young enough that you're in school, you're surrounded by a whole bunch of people and probably don't like half of them. And you're not as likely at a younger age to appreciate community. But when you get older, and people tend to go their separate ways, and your life becomes increasingly more solitary as you branch out to go do whatever it is you're going to do. You start to appreciate, whatever people you manage to associate yourself with. And, I remember hearing some statistics somewhere some time back. I really don't remember, but it was talking about this phenomenon where people are experiencing this sense of solitude, at a younger and younger age. It's like usually by the time a person's like 21 years old, it's like they no longer have any close friends, because everybody's, graduated college and gone on to do their thing. And it seemed like when I was younger, that didn't seem to happen at a younger age. It seemed like I had more of my childhood friends that I still had some degree of contact and communication with. I mean, even to this day, the person that was my best friend in junior high school, we still talk periodically, even though we have grown apart to a great degree, and we've had our share of differences on different subjects, but we've outgrown all that, and we're still friends, and we still talk. But again, community, human connection, that's where the real wealth is, and that's where real success lies. And that's my focus. And yeah, it's easier to say when you have enough T-shares that you've basically made it. But, even if my wallet got hacked and I lost everything, the people in my life, I wouldn't have any complaints because of the quality of the relationship that I have with various people. So apart from that, I'm going to go back onto Twitter to see if there's anything that I can look at to occupy some time. Like I said, I like to I'd like to keep these streams going for about an hour. And sometimes if I'm not prepared, I have to fish for some content to help carry me through to the end of that time. But I want to share something here that I thought was pretty funny. A guy named Richard Hart Maximalist made a tweet about how many more crypto influencers need to make videos on Hex to $1 before you get it. And I replied to him by saying, I'm not much of an influencer based on my numbers, but I'm doing live streams every day, which mentions Hex to one degree or another. And his reply to me to that, I think, is pretty funny. Let me pull this up here. He's like, until glory. He's got the NPC putting on a McDonald's hat with all of his crypto tattoos. First of all, I don't have any tattoos, and I don't plan on getting any. And but it's kind of funny. My first job was when I was a teenager, was working for a Hardee's fast food place in my hometown in Pennsylvania. And I just loved working there. It was just a blast. Maybe it was because of my age. I don't know. But it's like at that time, I would have been content to work there for, most of my life if it would have paid me enough to live. And of course, when I was a teenager, I didn't really need that much money to live. But the reason I'm going on about this a little bit is because when this bear market started to really kick in last year, I was considering, as a social and financial experiment, getting a job at a local fast food place just to demonstrate what it would look like for a young person to take a part of their paycheck, buy some hex with it on Pulse Chain, where your fees are really cheap, and create a 15-year staking ladder, even with just little chunks, $20 one week, $30 another week, and stake it for 15 years and track the yield and the dollar value of that as a way of showing people, people who may not have a lot of capital outlay for a major investment, show them that the system works regardless, and it can work for you at whatever pace you're able to work it, if you're willing to delay gratification and think long term. However, that never happened, because I would go on to Go Pulse every day and look at my portfolio and looking at the dollar value of my yield that I'm earning every day. And I just couldn't justify pulling away from working on my property to go, spend 30, 40 hours a week conducting this experiment. But, there's plenty of young people out there that could do something like that and use that as a form of content creation so that they can show their peers how DeFi works. I don't really know a lot of young people, so I don't have a lot of human resources at my disposal to try and convince somebody to do this, but I still think it's a great idea. And I would do it if I didn't have, other responsibilities going on at this time. So let's see if there's anything else that is worth commenting on here. Let's see. Glad to see Johnny Chaos is posting some tweets again. Been to Johnny's place. He's a great guy. He reminds me of one of my brothers. I've told him that before. Just scrolled past a video of Corey interviewing BitBoy. I haven't watched that, and I probably won't. I mean, I'm glad that BitBoy's on board, but that's about the extent of it as far as my interest in that. I hope he, I hope he succeeds with Pulse Chain and with Hex, and I hope he is instrumental in leading a lot of other people to success. But that's, apart from that, that's the extent of my interest. Oh, here's something else that I want to, let me hang on. I want to play this song. I saw this, I think he posted it today, but there is a song that this man, Scott Foster Harris, wrote and performed and put it on his Twitter page.
It's fun to watch Hex pumping up the charts. It's left behind all kinds of broken hearts who didn't by the dip who didn't DCA. And now that we're on a rip, it's hard to look away. Now I'm not the one to hand out free advice, but as for me, I wouldn't dare think twice about buying a bag, since we're still somewhat down. This rocket ship's about to break the speed of sound. You know these wheels are starting to roll. Best to sit back and just enjoy the show, 'cause we're about to ride that train into the heart of Hexaco. Now, I tip my hat to everyone who minds. You're getting paid out while you're killing time. It makes room for a nice vacation to the beach, perhaps a celebration now that you are rich. Ha ha! Ignore the haters who all called you crazy. You studied hard while they were being lazy. Now you're packing bags, about to take a ride up on that rocket ship, mooned up and starry-eyed. I feel these wheels are starting to roll. Best to sit back and just enjoy the show, 'cause we're about to ride that train into the heart of Hexaco. Now that we're summer bound and the sun is bright, I see that it's not round, but rather has 6 sides. It's a work of art that's written into code, designed by Richard Hart to make our bags explode. You know these wheels are starting to roll. Best to sit back and just enjoy the show, 'cause we're about to ride that train into the heart of Hexaco. Yeah, we're about to ride that train into the heart of Hexaco.
That is great. That is just, I commented on that and let him know how much I enjoyed that song. That's just a very well written song. I love it. His voice reminds me of somebody, but I can't put a name on it. I guess it's because it sounds like a country singer, maybe like Toby Keith or somebody, but it just, that voice sounds familiar. So if anybody, if you feel the same way and a name comes to you, share it with me, because it's like, it's one of those things that's going to be on me until I get it. But anyway, a chat just popped up here. It says, boom, what's up, Hexicans? King, how's it going, man? Good to see you. I wonder what time it is over in Japan. I think it is where you're at. Of course, I could Google it, but thanks for stopping by. And then who dat? Sending lots of love. Thank you for doing that. It's good to know that people are out there. I see a number on my screen showing that there's eyes watching it, but it's like you don't know if they're paying attention or not. And it's anyway. Thank you for stopping by. And yes, I agree. That song is awesome. Pretty soon we're going to have a Hex album, like our own soundtrack. And I would nominate that song for being on the soundtrack, because that is, that's top notch. Crypto King says it's lunchtime. All right. Well, it's probably lunchtime tomorrow, because I remember I used to talk to somebody on some site that was in South Korea, and he was like 14 hours ahead of me. So anyway, I hope you're enjoying your lunch, King. You deserve good food. Crypto King has a habit of showing up at the Friday night hangout, and that's how I've got to become acquainted with him. So I always appreciate when he drops by to say hello. So yeah, it's, you know, life is just wonderful, and it's great to know, or to get to know the people that I have over the last 4+ years of being in this space. And some people I actually knew before Hex launched because of other platforms, particularly the Steemit social media platform. That was something that I was really big into before Hex launched. And that would be really cool if somebody built something similar to that and launched it on the Pulse Chain blockchain. Now, that would be something practical to build on top of Pulse Chain instead of, a lot of other coins. I mean, do we really need another coin? I mean, I won't get into it. It's, it's a free world. People can do whatever they want. But anyway, so let's see. I'm going to go back and look here to see if there's anything else noteworthy to comment on. Okay, this meme is pretty funny. I want to share this with y'all. A guy named Compounding Memes posted this earlier today, and I just saw it about an hour ago, and I thought it was pretty funny. So I'll share this. So, why did you invade Ukraine? Well, you see, in 2008, there was a huge economic crash in the US, and banks had to be bailed out using taxpayer money. This led to the creation of Bitcoin to get rid of middlemen, which failed. So then this guy called Richard Hart created something called Hex, and that's where it ends. It's interesting. One of the reasons I wanted to bring this up and comment on it is because there was somebody that I was talking to yesterday who is a no coiner and was asking me, trying to pick my brain for knowledge on the subject. And I was explaining to him how with Hex, if you buy Hex, you can stake it and get more Hex. And he was like, oh, so it's kind of like Bitcoin. And I'm like, well, not really. They're both digital assets, but they don't work the same. Bitcoin is like digital gold, and Hex is like a digital version of the Federal Reserve, because Hex inflates at a fixed rate of 3.69% a year, and that inflation is paid out to the holders of T-shares. Whereas with Bitcoin, you can't get more Bitcoin without introducing a middleman, or unless you have the hardware and the brains to mine it. And with just like regular gold, if you buy digital gold, you don't get paid for holding it. if you want to try and get some kind of increase on it, you either have to get involved in margin trading or some kind of speculative activity, or you have to introduce a middleman. And, we don't have to deal with any of that with Hex. And it's like he understood what I was saying, but he was just playing dumb because he didn't want to have to admit that, yeah, this is a great idea and I ought to, get involved with it. But I didn't push him because I've learned the hard way. Do not onboard people whose hand you have to hold every step of the way. If a person is not willing to learn how to download a wallet, install it, learn how to write down their 12 seed words, learn how to use a user interface, if they're not willing to learn the basics, I'm not going to onboard them anymore. I created so much stress for myself so far by onboarding people who basically needed me to hold their hand every step of the way. And I've learned, don't do that, because it's just way, 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 way too stressful. And so that's why I didn't really push this guy to take the next step, because I would rather a person say, here I am taking the next step. Tell me what I should do. I'd be more than happy to tell them. That's the difference between, giving people information and knowledge and actually, pressing buttons for them. So that's part of the growing pains that I've had to endure as being part of this, but it comes with the territory. But then again, this is one of the reasons my accountant set me up with an LLC, because now I can basically charge people for my time if I have to hold their hand. So anyway, somebody else just popped into chat. Someone go by the name of Tin Top saying, "What's up, Hexicans? How you doing, Tin Top?" I am doing great, and thank you for stopping in. I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to be on, but I'm glad you're here. And nice avatar. Boba Fett was one of my favorite characters in Star Wars. I got into a big Star Wars kick yesterday on stream, and because I saw an advertisement on Facebook the other day that was announcing that they were going to re-release Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, on a 25th anniversary in theaters this year. And I just shook my head. I'm like, wait a minute. The Phantom Menace is 25 years old. I thought Star Wars was only 25 years old. Needless to say, time flies as you get a little older. But Tin Top says, loving the pump, but who turned the heater off in Arizona? Are you in Arizona, Tin Top? Because that's where I am. And yeah, it's been pretty damn cold this past week. Cold, wind, rain, clouds. It's like, reminds me of Pennsylvania again. I was almost on the verge of taking the motorhome down to Phoenix or taking it to Yuma for the week. It was just getting so unbearable. It's made it challenging to stream. But yeah, it's getting better now. So he says global warming, huh? Yeah, whatever. I never got too hung up on that whole global warming thing. I remember I saw a movie a couple years back called The Day After Tomorrow, and it had to do with the whole global warming phenomenon. And it basically shows the Northern Hemisphere experiencing an ice age. And I'm just like, okay, whatever, I don't put a whole lot of stock into that. I've got other things that are a bigger priority in my life. I talk about that more on Saturday's episodes. Yeah, who that says, what a joke, global BS. Yeah, pretty much. If people are worried about carbon, then they need to plant more trees, because trees breathe in carbon dioxide and they exhale oxygen, which is why if you have plants growing in your house in the summertime, you don't have to run the air conditioning as much, which is a pretty smart idea if you live in Arizona. So I remember somebody was talking about some research that was done, I think it was in Germany, where they lined the freeway with trees, and the trees absorbed a lot of the carbon emissions from the traffic, because trees breathe carbon dioxide. It's like basic, elementary school science. I don't know. I'm coming up here on an hour, but now that there's people showing up, I kind of feel obligated to stick around a little bit just to keep folks entertained and possibly provide some content. So there's been a lot of moon math charts going on today, and I kind of like moon math. Of course, when you get emotionally attached to it and then it doesn't come to pass as quickly as you're led to believe it will, it's a downer. But at the same time, it's hard to be down when you get paid to sleep. I guess that's kind of like it's kind of like the worst of both worlds. It's like you want to see things moon, but even if they don't, you're still pretty well off. Anyway, who that says, have you ever experimented with cactus pitoki? Are you referring to peyote? If that's what you're referring to, then the answer would be no. The only cactus I've experimented with at all is cactus fruit jelly and cactus fruit pancake syrup. I know somebody that used to make that, like, it's homemade. And he asked, Ink, what do you think the new all-time high will go to? Dollar-wise, I don't know. I'm not very good at TA. It's I mean, I can pull a number out of my hat. I'm not wearing a hat, but if I were, I would like to see it go back to an all-time high by the end of this year. I have no idea if it could. I have no idea if it will. But because Ink is my third favorite token on Pulse Chain, and as I've said in past streams, the only coins I'm really going to talk about in detail on these streams are Hex, Com, and Ink, because my objective is to attract no-coiners to these streams. And I don't want to get people confused and going in a multitude of different directions. So I'm only going to talk about those 3 assets in detail. But yeah, I'd like to see a new all-time high, but who knows when. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. I'm moving underground like the elites after this bull run. You know, I love to dig, and I don't have enough room on my plot of real estate to dig an underground bunker. Actually, I probably could. Yeah, actually, I could if I dug deep enough that I went underneath the house or underneath the septic system. I could, I have plenty of room for an entrance. And then if I dug down far enough into the ground, then I could expand outward that way. Maybe I'll do that, after this bull run. Of course, explaining where all that dirt is coming from, I might have a problem explaining that to the county, but oh well. But it's kind of funny that my love affair with digging started when I was just a little boy. My dad told me one time that if you dig deep enough, you'll eventually wind up in China. Well, I took my dad seriously. And when one day my parents left to go shopping or something, and they were gone for like 3 hours or more, and they left me home alone with a shovel, unbeknownst to me. And I started digging my way to China. I think I got down about 3 feet. And when my parents came home, they flipped because we were living in a rental house at that time. It was like, it was so funny. They're like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm digging my way to China." My parents just looked at each other, and my dad's like, so that's where my love affair with digging came from. And yeah, he's like, "Just go sideways. Your neighbors will never know." So yeah, maybe after my house is finished, I'll build a fence around the house so no one can see me, and I'll start digging and dig my underground bunker. The designer of my house lives across the street, and he could probably give me some pointers on how to construct it. But then he'd be like, "The county will never approve of that." I'm like, "The county doesn't have to know. I'll go maverick on them." So yeah, who dat says yeah, referring to the cactus peyote. Yeah, I've never done peyote. Like I said, the only thing I've done with cactus is eat. There's these little cactus. They're not the saguaros that grow really tall with the branches. There's these little paddle cactus that grow like on the ground. They grow outwards rather than upwards, and they have these purple fruits on them. And you can make like syrup and jelly with those. And I used to know somebody that made that, and I've had that a couple of times, and that's really good. So Hudad also asks, "Are you going to have a pool as well?" No, I'm not, because I don't have enough room on the land to do that. Yeah, the answer is no. I'm not going to have a pool. Pools are pretty maintenance intensive, and even if I did have enough room for a pool, I probably wouldn't have one put in, at least not anytime soon, because once the house is actually done, it's mainly going to be a storage space. I want to take some extended road trips in my motorhome. So I'm not even going to have like grass. most of the land besides the house, most of the land is going to be covered with different types of rock and gravel, just so I don't have a lawn that I have to take care of. Because like I said, I plan on doing some extensive traveling. And then let's see, Tin Top comes back. I've had prickly pear barbecue sauce. Now that sounds pretty good. I haven't had that. I'm sure that's available locally if I check around, but that sounds really good. I love barbecue sauce. Excuse me for a minute. My phone is beeping. My phone dings every time somebody stakes hex. And I prefer getting those text messages than getting real text messages from my friends. That's how pathetic I am. So, well, this is turning out to be the longest live stream I've done so far. I'm kind of surprised. Like I said, I didn't have any material prepared for tonight. So, and I kind of want to get into the habit of doing things more free flow. I don't want to come across with too much prescribed stuff just because, I don't know. I feel more natural when I'm just saying whatever is coming to me. So, while I'm at it, I guess I'll stay on here for a little bit longer. I really don't have to go anywhere, and I'm not even really that tired. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I didn't really get a lot of sleep. I mean, I got enough sleep last night, but I was awakened at 3:30 with an upset stomach, and just had to deal with that. But I'm looking for okay. I don't know how many of you guys are on Facebook, but there is a page that I'm signed up on Facebook that is called Beautiful Log Cabins. And man, some of the architecture that they present on that page is just breathtaking. It's like, if I ever get around to building another house, it's going to be a log home, because it's just, some of the stuff they present on there is so awesome, so inspiring. And I wanted to stop real quick. Sandy Beach is here, and she says, just popping in to say hi, bedtime for us East Coasters. I hear you. Thank you for stopping in. Probably almost every show I'm going to do this week is going to be in the evening. I prefer to do it in the morning just to get it done and get on with my day, but I didn't have time this morning. And then tomorrow morning, I have a previous commitment. Wednesday morning, I volunteer at the food bank. So my shows are going to be later in the day. So I understand it's getting late back east, but I wanted to just say thanks for stopping in. Thanks for showing how much you care. And yeah, it's good to see you, Sandy. So actually, Sandy, I was just saying that I may be calling it a night here shortly also. I keep saying that, but more and more, the number of viewers keeps going up like every couple of seconds. And it's like, I feel kind of obligated to stay on for a little longer. So I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody taking the time to stop in. I'm just looking for more content to share with you guys, to contribute as part of my content. But there's another page that I subscribe to on Facebook that I thought I'd share with you real quick. And this one is called Book Lovers. Actually, I'm not following them yet, but I probably will be soon enough here. I'm a big, really big, I'm an avid reader, so I'm really big on libraries. As a matter of fact, the home that I'm building is going to have extensive bookshelves in the living room. And someone else just dropped in. Vets in Crypto rating you from Discourse. Oh, cool. I didn't even know Discourse was on right now. Cool. Thanks for stopping in, Mr. Vets in Crypto. Bang, bang. Yes. Got to get into the LLC management. Yeah, I never really knew anything about LLCs until, I knew what they were, but I never considered having one until my accountant talked me into it. Because, I've had the same accountant here for the past 8 years that I've been living here. And she's been well aware of all of my crypto activity since day one, because I just give her the full rundown on everything. So it was her idea for me to apply for an LLC, because she was telling me how I can use that for tax purposes. And, at one point she's like, how long have you been in this crypto thing? And at that time it was like, well, about 10 years. And she's like, yeah, she's like, you're a professional at this. And, you have knowledge on how this works, and you need to start charging people for your knowledge. And I'm like, okay. So she did all the paperwork and set it all up for me. But, yeah, that's how I got into that. It's kind of cool, actually. Vets in Crypto asks me, will you be in Vegas in March? I very much plan on it. I have not bought a ticket for anything yet, and I haven't booked a hotel room. It's going to come down to the wire with me because of my house building situation. I don't know how much time I'm going to have available, but at the same time, it's only like a 6-hour drive for me to go to Vegas. So even if anything, I could leave one morning, get there by dinner time, spend the night, leave at lunchtime the next day, and be back, whatever. I would like to go just to say hi to people. I can go for some Mexican hugs, basically. So just on that point alone, I very much want to go there. It's still up in the air. Let's see. Did you say that you went with MCA? No, I didn't. When MCA first launched, I went to my accountant and told her about it, and I asked her about it, and her response was, this is no big deal. I could start one of these if I wanted to. And I asked her, why don't you? And she's like, I already have a full-time job. So, because when I first learned about MCA, it was presented to me in a way like this was, a unique thing. So, but when I read about it online, I went to their website, it didn't really sound as unique as I thought it was. That's why I went to my accountant and asked her about it. And when she said that, she could do something like that, I just lost interest in it. So no, I never got involved with MCA. Melv, Tony, good evening, fellow Hexicans. Good evening again, Mr. Melv Tony. Thank you for stopping in and being so supportive of my efforts. I greatly appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to the day that I get to sit down and visit with you. I suspect you're about my age. I don't think you're a younger guy. If I'm wrong, then so be it. But thanks for stopping in. And let's see. Swizzle Sticks. Good job, brother. I don't know if you're referring to me as Swizzle Sticks. I've been given nicknames along that line because I've been skinny as a twig my entire life, no matter how much I eat or how much exercise I do. I've just always, it's like I'm as fat as I've ever been right now, pretty much. I remember I went from, I think the most weight I ever gained at one time, I went from a 32-inch waist to a 34-inch waist, and then I turned around and went back to a 33 again. So, yeah. Let's see. You can do T. I probably, if you're referring to me being able to go to Vegas, yeah. Let's see. My whale on board looked into MCA, and then he just ended up doing it himself. Yeah. Oh, that's Swizzle Sticks. Okay. Yeah. That's basically what my accountant said. Like you said, it's not hard if you put in the work. Yep. Am I invisible? Not to me, you're not. So, man, this is great. I've been going at this for almost an hour and a half now. Man, you guys are going to keep me up for like 24 hours. This is awesome. So, let's see. I'm in MCA. MCA resolved my off-ramping worries. It's not for everyone. Do your own research. Yeah. I'm not saying that MCA is a bad thing. I just never got into it. And that's that. Was that at an old country buffet, slim to fat to slim hours? Yeah. Oh, dude. The reason I'm laughing so hard at this, I'm really going to make a fool of myself here, but I'm willing to take one for the team. Back in 1998, I meet this girl and I ask her out on a date. And she said, sure. And I'm like, where would you like to go? I'm like, is there anything close to your house that you'd like to go to? Because she lived in Philadelphia and I lived almost an hour away from her, which, when you live in Southeast Pennsylvania and you're driving an hour to meet up with a girl, some people would say you're desperate. Like, hey, it's just, dude, she lives in Philadelphia. But that's not the humiliating part. When she mentioned the places available to eat in her area, she mentioned Old Country Buffet. I loved Old Country Buffet. We went there, my family, we went there for Thanksgiving every year for like 6 years in a row because my mom got to an age where she didn't want to cook anymore. And, my mom's cooking wasn't the best in the world in the first place. So nobody had a complaint about going to Old Country Buffet for Thanksgiving. So in my mind, I thought it was a great place. So when this girl said, Old Country Buffet was an option for a date, I said, okay, let's go there. Well, the next day when I went to work, and I'm telling the people at work about this date that I went on, they're like, where'd you go? When I said the Old Country Buffet, oh man, I was the laughing stock of work for a long time after that. They're like, dude, you don't take a girl to a buffet on a date. I'm like, dude, that's where she said that was an option. She was okay with that. I like the food. Oh man. This one guy, he was doing imitations of me, and he'd be like, yeah, babe, you could get anything you want, anything off the menu. It's all on me. So that's my Old Country Buffet story. But yeah. Oh, this is great. So speaking of house design, I was talking earlier about wanting to design my next home being a log home. And my neighbor who lives across the street from me is the person who designed my house. And he was outside the other day, and I was out taking a walk and stopped by to just talk to him and just chat. And the craziest thought just came to me. I was asking him about a concept home where you have a hexagon on top of a hexagon on top of a hexagon, a 3-story home. And I said, if I were to design this way, I would want it to look like the Hex logo when you fly a drone over top of it and you look down. And he started to run with it. He's like, yeah, that's a great idea. I'm like, wait. I'm not asking you to draw up a set of plans because I know how much I paid for the plans for my house. I'm like, I'm in no position to build a house right now. I'm not even barely started on my first one. I don't even want to get into a second one. But yeah, he started showing some interest in it. But yeah, I'm actually plotting in my mind a floor plan for a log home that would be the Hex logo. It would be a hexagon on top of a hexagon on top of a hexagon. And I already know where I would build that home if I were to actually do that. The price of Hex would have to get pretty darn high before I would even seriously consider even paying for the plans. And but then again, Hex doesn't have to go stupid insanely high. I mean, it would have to at least make a new all-time high. But I can dream. And you need to talk about the really crazy, impossible, outrageous things if you want them to happen. If your dream is no bigger than the Old Country Buffet, then you can't expect a new all-time high. So, yeah, that's that. But anyway, that's just something that's going on inside my head. So that's one of the reasons I'm signed up on these different Facebook groups. It's interesting. The difference in my case between Twitter and Facebook, all the people that I actually excuse me, all the people that I actually talk to on a regular basis are all on Twitter. The people that I've known for most of my life and people I went to school with are all on Facebook, and I have almost zero communication with them. And they probably don't use Facebook that much anymore either. But like almost none of my classmates are on Twitter that I'm aware of. And it's just interesting. But Vets in Crypto says, yes, I'm a fan of Paralyzed Hexagon. Yeah, he was the person I pointed out for the Hexagon of the Day award today. And yeah, he's a great guy. I'd like to meet him someday, as I've said before. And yes, speak it out loud. We are healthy. I am wealthy. Crypto is going to make us rich, thankfully. What's your favorite crypto, Tim? My favorite crypto is Hex, number one. That's the number one coin that I will be talking about on my live streams. And the reason it is my number one coin is because of the T-share. Because of the T-share, I can rely on my own economic energy to come to a place where Hex supports me. In the past, things that I paid attention to try and develop some kind of residual or passive income have required the participation of other people. You need to recruit people in order to compound the economic energy to come to a place where you can support yourself. Hex doesn't require that. You just need to acquire enough T-shares to acquire enough yield to equate to your personal needs. Now, granted, the more the merrier. The more people involved, the more of a market we have, the more liquidity we have, the more stability we have, the more credibility we have. But at its most fundamental level, Hex does not require the work of others, essentially. I've been in crypto since 2011. I've been involved in a lot of cryptos, not just Bitcoin. And Hex is the first of its type as far as allowing its users to grow their stack without having to introduce a middleman, without having to give away your private keys. It's just a genius product. It is crypto. The T-share is crypto. That is the cornerstone of anything related to cryptocurrency. And anybody that's involved in cryptocurrency, if they had any brains about them, whatever they're doing, they should connect it to the Hex T-share. Alex, for example, when Hedron came out, your ability to claim it based on your T-shares. Vets in Crypto said something else here. Melv Tony, you are always welcome to come on my stream. Feel free to share in the future. Thanks. Vets in Crypto, I would like to know what your stream is. If the information is in your Twitter profile, then I'll get it from there. But I would like to start paying attention to your stream if you're doing one. I'm a little selective on my time that I have available to participate online at all because of my building. So, yeah, I'd like to know what's up with your stream. I'd like to check it out. Tintop says, people are dazzled by shiny objects. I've been stacking T-shares this bear, true DeFi. Absolutely. I totally agree with you. You know, I respect everybody's right to create their own coin. Just like everybody has a right to their own Facebook page and their own Twitter account, everybody has a right to their own coin if they want to invent one. But if it's not connected to the T-share in some way, then I'm not going to pay attention to it. You know, I'm not going to trash talk it, because I don't need to trash talk things in order to add credibility to the things that I like. But it's like, we live in an attention economy. And if you want people to pay attention to your asset, you need to develop it in a way that will draw attention. And if you want my attention, it has to have some kind of relationship to the Hex T-share. Just no ifs, ands, or buts. So that's all I can say about that. Inc. is going to have someone build up on it, maybe staking, or RH might want us to sacrifice for his wallet. Maybe. Yeah. Inc. is kind of like the Star Wars trilogy. You know, we've only seen one episode of it so far. There's more to Inc. than what appears on the surface. Even in the code, it says that Inc. is to have voting power for future farms, future trading pairs on the farms. And I can tell you right now, I have not sold one Inc. yet. As a matter of fact, I use my Inc., send it back into the farm, pair it with PulseX to get more Inc. Because I want to vote. I have farms that I would like introduced, trading pairs in the farm. And those trading pairs are a HexCom trading pair, a Hex Inc. trading pair, and a Com Inc. burning or trading pair in the farm. So, yeah. I don't know, I don't know what Richard has up his sleeve, but if I could insert something into his sleeve, it would be those three things. Who that says they have a burn function. Yeah, that's correct. They are. I don't remember the math behind the burn function, but it's there. You can go on to GoPulse and see how much of the supply has been burned. Yeah, that cool. Yes, it is. So, whoa, nice. Inc. at 330. Yeah, baby. If Inc. goes up to 332, then that's kind of a special number to me, because that was the address. That was my house number in the house that I grew up in for most of my young life in Pennsylvania. So, yeah. Oh, man. I've passed the 1.5 hour mark, and I still have an audience. So I feel obligated to stay on. So I'm going to go for it, man. You guys are keeping me occupied. I'm going to stay here. Do my part. Let's see if I've got some stuff that I can pull up here. Richard tweeted earlier today that Bitcoin had hit $50,000. And that's cool. A rising tide raises all ships. So, let's see. Yeah, GoPulse just posted something, the same thing that says a rising tide lifts all boats, referring to Bitcoin going to $50,000. Here's a little, okay, never mind. I was going to play a little video, but, you know, here is something that I would like to talk about. I want to share my screen here. Before I do that, somebody asked a question. Or actually, hang on. Man, I got to do a better job than Melv Tony. I'll DM you the channel. I'm not trying to interrupt Tim. Congratulations, Tim. I'm happy for you, brother. Thank you. I'm happy to do my part in any way that I can. In a way, I feel like I haven't done much of anything compared to some people who have just put their whole heart into this system. Maybe it's because they're younger and they're more creative and they have more energy. But yeah, there's people that, you know, have done so much more than me. Somebody asks, return of Gunther to community, positive or negative? Somebody asks, is this your alt account, Gunther? Well, I'm going to give an honest answer to this question. And that is, I consider Gunther a personal friend. Now, I did not know him before Hex came along. But I've been to Gunther's house, and he has let me drive his car, and he has paid for my lunch. And him and I have a lot in common as far as our upbringing is concerned. And with that, I can't really speak to his relationship with other people. I know he's pissed off a lot of people, and that's unfortunate, but that's between him and them. Like I said, I consider Gunther a friend. And, you know, yeah, he promoted a lot of stuff that did not succeed, and he has fessed up to it. And, you know, he has admitted his mistakes, and, you know, that's more than some people have done. I know people who are very popular in the Pulse Chain community have promoted things that did literally go to zero, and they never publicly apologized for it. They never said, oh yeah, I promoted something that was trash, I'm sorry. So, you know, people can hold whatever kind of grudge they want against anybody else. But like I said, the bottom line is I consider Gunther a friend. He's never said anything disparaging to me or disrespectful. I never got involved in any of the things that he promoted, except for Pulse Doge and Pulse Bitcoin, and that had nothing to do with Gunther. I got involved with those things because they were made available to T shareholders for free. That's my connection with that. I met Gunther through that community, and we became friends. But other than that, the other stuff that he promoted that he got into afterwards, I just didn't bother. And it had nothing to do with my relationship with him. I'm just a grown-up. I know what I'm interested in. I know what I want to put money into. I don't need an influencer to tell me. So I never related to him that way. I related to him as a friend, and he's always been a friend, and I have no reason to not consider him a friend now. So that's all. Really, that's just the bottom line about as far as me and Gunther is concerned. So JB gives me a thumbs up, so I'm assuming that's referring to what I said. about Gunther. So anyway, yeah. T says Timothy has always been one of my favorite OGs. Well, thank you. I'm humbled. You know, I've been really blessed during my whole, let's see, 13 years that I've been in crypto. I've been really, really blessed. I've been blessed financially, and I've been blessed with the connections I've made, and I want to give back. And this is part of how I'm giving back. I don't want to brag, but I literally have a lifetime of knowledge regarding several different subjects that I've acquired that I believe can benefit people. And I just want to be beneficial to everybody in whatever area I can. So thank you, T. It's been a long time. I recognize you. If you're the guy that was in the Discord room for an Hourglass program that was launched at the beginning of Hex, I don't want to name it, but if you're the same T, then I recognize the T. And it's good to see you, if that's who you are. Anyway, getting into issues of personal response. Oh, he says 100% right on, T. Yeah, I remember you. I don't remember the things that you said, but I remember you as an individual. I'm sure we talked in that Discord room, but yeah, cool. That is so cool to see you again. It's been years. I don't even know if you've been around Twitter under a different handle or anything. Dude, that is so awesome. Man. So, okay, let's see. Something else I wanted to share with everybody that goes along this line of personal responsibility is something that was posted by whoever is running Go Pulse. They've been posting some things that are rather controversial. And this is one example. They posted this recently. It says, "I don't own a single P-DAI." And then somebody underneath says, "You really are very unprofessional. Who runs this account?" You know, evidently, the person or persons that is involved with GoPulse is taking a personal interest or disinterest in different assets, and they're expressing that interest through the GoPulse account. Some people have a problem with that. Some people don't. And again, this comes back to a person being responsible for the things that they are investing in. I don't care who promotes what. My financial decisions are based on the knowledge that I acquire surrounding that asset. And I don't go to Telegram rooms and other social media places to acquire knowledge about something. I go to the source. If I want to know how Hex works, I go to Richard Hart. He invented it. I read the white paper. Someone in his camp published it. It's like, it's amazing. You know, everybody says, do your own research. But unfortunately, for most people, I guess it's because they're young. For most people, doing your own research means asking a question on Twitter and making a decision based on the first 5 answers. When I do research on something, I go to the source. I don't take the word of a Twitter account, no matter who they are or what they're running. So that's why I don't care about whether or not the guy behind GoPulse is, shilling or not shilling or anti-shilling anything. I went through this same phenomenon when I got my Tesla. Before I got it, I read the owner's manual online so that I knew everything about the car when I got it. And ever since I got it, people, make all these assertions and ask all these questions. And their source of information is the internet, like social media sites, memes. And I'm like, you're believing this internet propaganda, but yet you don't go to the source to find out if it's true or not. And now you're coming at me with all these loaded questions and these prejudices. It's like, whatever happened to people using their brains? Oh, man. JB says, good night, fellows, up early to work. If you're still here, JB, have a good night. Rest well, friend. Thank you for stopping by. I don't know if we've talked before or met before, but thank you. I hope to talk to you some more and see you around. But yeah, it never ceases to amaze me how we live in the information age. We literally, it's like all the knowledge that has ever existed in the history of the world up until now is available on a device that you can put in your pocket. And people are, it's amazing how dumb people are. I remember somebody said that if you took a bunch of monkeys and set them all down at typewriters, and if you gave them enough time, they would eventually type out the complete works of William Shakespeare. And the internet has proven that that's not true. Just go on any social media site and see how people behave on there, and you'll see that's not true. The reason that is not true is because every language, every code, every symbol that exists is the product of a mind. None of those things come into existence by some kind of random generation or some random process. JavaScript didn't just happen by accident. Something as simple as a stop sign will not form by some random process, because codes, symbols, and languages exist for the purpose of expressing some kind of thought. So that's why that analogy about the monkeys in William Shakespeare isn't true, and it never will be true. And this could open up a big can of worms of argument between those who believe in Darwinism and those who don't, because human DNA is a language, just like a stop sign. The A, T, C, and G that make up your DNA is no different than the S, T, O, and P that make up a stop sign. The function is the only thing that's different. But That's something I will get into in one of my Saturday episodes when I start talking about the real stuff. But for now, Tin Top says, memes have replaced brain cells. Sorry, Tim, it's all part of the new now. Yeah, it is. And people choose to allow their brain cells to be replaced with something else. And that's probably the big point that I want to get at, is everybody's life is the end result of the choices that they have made. And again, that's something that is, I would say, for a Saturday episode to get into in detail, because I've had people argue with me before passionately about their disagreement with that. Everybody seems to have a story about why it's somebody else's fault that they are who they are. And yeah, I guess I'm getting a little fired up because I've been on here for almost 2 hours, and I didn't think I'd be on here for longer than a half an hour. So yeah, my mind is kind of firing on all cylinders right now, and I like it. It's like a drug. Let's see. You know, somebody just tweeted about hex stakes being too expensive to end on Ethereum right now. And that's another reason I'm thankful for things like Hedron, because I basically swapped my Hedron for Ethereum, and then I used that for gas money to end stakes. And yeah, I feel for people who, have small stakes on Ethereum that essentially aren't worth, it costs more than get in gas and what the stake is actually worth. And yeah, that kind of stinks. Let's see. Over 4 years deep, and there still is nothing even close to the T-share. Absolutely. I totally agree with you, T. And it's amazing that there isn't a competitor. Like, everything that's been an attempt to be a knockoff of Hex was just a really crappy program. It's like, why doesn't somebody like Bill Gates or Elon Musk, the really smart people, it's amazing that they haven't paid more attention to DeFi and said, we can make a better T-share. And nobody's even come close. It's kind of amazing. I mean, talk about being early. Wow. I mean, the fact that Elon is like pumping a dog coin is stupid. Yeah, I mean, he hasn't done that recently, but you would think a guy who's smart enough to build rockets would be smart enough to at least examine Hex, and if not, support it. If he wants to compete with it, at least come up with a proposal for a better T-share. No one's come close. So good on us Hexicans. Because as I said, I think it was yesterday, this December, our 5555 stakes are going to be about 1/3 of the way through already. And it just seems like yesterday that I was making 5555 stakes. Let's see. I've got a pocket full of excuses too. I just choose to keep them in my pocket and do the work. Good on you, Tin Top. It's like you know, we can all come up with excuses for everything. But if we're willing to persevere and do our due diligence, we will come to the place where we will be able to see and reason from cause to effect why everything is as it is. And we won't have to rely on excuses anymore. So much respect to you for just being diligent and not getting distracted by your own, obstacles. I'm 22 minutes behind. Sorry, man. Like I said, I didn't think this episode was going to go for 22 minutes hardly. And now I'm closing in on 2 hours. Let's see. Elon is a puppet. He does what he's told. Maybe he is. Maybe he isn't. I like the guy. I mean, we're about the same age. I would love to hang out with him. He's an eccentric like me. I love a Tesla. I love my Tesla. It's the greatest car I've ever owned. I mean, I now have Tesla Starlink, which is what is allowing me to live stream finally. Because I haven't, where I live here in Arizona for the last 8 years, most of the internet, each place I've lived, my internet service most of the time has been lousy. So now I finally fixed that Tesla Starlink. So, I mean, I owe Elon a debt of gratitude for 2 things: the best car ever and the best internet service. Oh, well, it's tied with a temporary internet service I had when I lived across the street from a cell tower. But I'm happy with what I have so far. At least now that I have Starlink, if I take a road trip, I can take Starlink with me and I can literally stream anywhere in the world. So, I'm thankful for that. Oh, boy. So, yeah, I am coming up on 2 hours. I love it. This is great. Let's see. Oh, yeah. I notice that Balliet Brand is back making content again. I just noticed that while scrolling through Twitter. I met Balliet on, I believe, 2 occasions. Man, that kid is just, I thought I had a lot to be thankful for. And wow, to be his age and to be in the position that he is in, he's a day one Hexagon. Wow. I would envy that kid if, I hadn't staked it until I made it myself. But yeah, he's much respect for Balliet. Let's see. Never trusted Elon when tested liquidity, aka said never selling and dumped, then wrecked people on Dogcoin. Yeah, that was kind of a bogus move on his part. But then again, people chose to buy something because he promoted it. This gets back to people needing to take responsibility for the things that they are going to invest in. Crypto is an investment. A lot of people treat it like a game. It's not. And if you're going to put money into crypto, you need to know what it is that you're getting involved with. I've been around longer than Dogecoin. I remember when Dogecoin launched, and the guy, I don't remember his name, but the guy who launched Dogecoin did it on purpose as a way of ridiculing Bitcoin holders. He was basically making the point that any idiot can make a crypto and it can be the dumbest thing in the world and people will buy it. Richard Hart has talked about this too. And that's one of the reasons I never really got into Dogecoin. I mean, I found a faucet that allowed me to get a whole bunch of it for free. And then I lost it trying to earn yield on it. And it wasn't really that big of a loss in the first place because it was only like $50 worth. But, it was just one of those things I could never take that seriously because I understood where it came from. And then the guy later, he abandoned his own product and sold it all. And then, Elon mooned it, and then the guy just came out as like a socialist and basically hates all crypto altogether. And it's like, spare me. So it's like, I sympathize for people who lost money, chasing that shiny object, but they chose to chase a shiny object instead of being a grown-up and learning about what it is they're getting involved with. Tofu369 says, any goodies? Well, I've been streaming for 2 hours and I feel pretty good about the things I've been saying this evening. I'm getting tired and I'm not going to reiterate all of them, but if you want to watch the stream from the beginning, I feel that there's some goodies in it. I'm glad you're here. I love tofu, by the way. I'm pretty much a plant-based person, and I've made my own tofu from scratch on a couple occasions, actually. I had somebody teach me how to make it. So I'm glad you're here. And Melv Tony says he's retired at 24. Don't tell me you're only 24 now. Like, tell me you're at least 30. Because you're kind of like, if that's the case, if you're younger than 30, then you're another Seth Mendoza. You're someone who comes across as being a lot more mature and a lot more professional than a lot of people. So Vet says, yeah, no shit. I don't know what you're referring to, but yeah, I don't offer people any fecal material on my streams. I'm pretty straightforward. He says, no doubt, he sells quality products. He's not one of the good guys, in my opinion. Well, yeah. I don't know him enough to make that judgment, but I can very much see why a lot of people feel that he's not a good guy. I'm not going to take it any further than that, but I understand where you're coming from. Bran! Yeah, dude, Bran is the man. He looks good with that new hairstyle, man. He looks like some kind of like 80s, like Miami Vice type of character, man. Vets and Crypto's like, I like to believe I know. Actually, I prefer to speak on things that I know rather than how I feel or things like that. Hex Monkey goes, hey gang, Hex Monkey, bro. Let's see. Oh, Hex Monkey, you just to let you know, you were the recipient of the Hexagon of the Day award that I present every day. I basically highlight a hexagon and why they're the hexagon of the day. It's not that big of a deal because I don't have a plaque to give you or anything, but you received the reward earlier on. I think it may have been episode number 3. I showed some pictures of us at like the Dead and Company show, and when you showed up for Dark Star Orchestra recently. So I'm glad you're here. If anybody doesn't know who Hex Monkey is, you should. Great guy. And we've met up for meals. It's great. Mel Tony says, I remember when he said he retired at 24. Yeah. Bran retired at 24. Wow. You know, the word retire we may have to coin a different word to describe Hexicans making it rather than using the word retire. Because traditionally, when somebody says they're retired, it usually means they're no longer contributing to what they were doing as far as productivity is concerned. You know, they're no longer working for whatever employer. They're no longer doing their career. You know, what I believe those of us who are financially independent because of Hex, we're not retired. At least I'm not. It's like, I'm just getting started. It's like, I'm still very productive. I'm still willing to do a lot of things with my time to help make this whole space successful. I'm not just sitting back, you know, smoking bongs and watching TV and playing video games, you know, doing nothing. I'm very productive, and I'm pretty sure Bran is in that same position. I don't think he's just sitting around wasting his life away. And yeah. So as Tin Top says, I prefer digital asset entrepreneurs. Yes. The DEA, digital asset entrepreneurs. We're not retired. We've joined the DEA. And we're going to clean up the streets of this space. We're going to get all you junkies and all you crackheads. We're going to smack some sense into y'all. Oh, man. Let's see. Vets in Crypto says, Bran stopped by the crib earlier today after my stream. He's doing good. Really good. All right, well then, if he stopped by your crib, then you're in the Pacific Northwest because that's where he is. I've never been to the Pacific Northwest. The closest I've been has been Boise, Idaho. That's the farthest northwest I've ever been. I would like to go to Sandpoint, Idaho, because I know people there. And I would like to make my way to the coast in like Oregon and Washington. I always wanted to go to the cities of Portland and Seattle. And in the last couple of years, both of those cities have been given a really bad name. And I'm kind of hesitant about going to either one of those cities, but I would love to check out the coast. I just get the sense that would be a great thing. And yeah, even Vet says, right on, summertime is the best. Yeah, I don't know what this summer looks like. I already have some appointments. Well, I have one appointment in Washington, D.C. in May. And when I go back, I'm probably going to stay back east for a little while, depending on what the market looks like and where my house is in its progress. But yeah, I would love to go to the Pacific Northwest. Swizzle Sticks says, come around August, September. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be that big of a deal for me to get in my car. I can get there in probably 2 days or so. You know, it wouldn't be a big deal for me to go there for like a week. It will trick you into moving, and then you can blame us later. I don't know if I would move there, but I would consider building a house there. Because if I get to a place where I can have a second residence, it's not going to be in Arizona. It's going to be in a different state. And I already have one state picked out that I would like to have a house in if I had a second house. But maybe I would change my mind if I went to the Northwest. Maybe I would consider getting some property there and building my house there. But yeah, now I've talked about this before, but I did make a trip up the California coast. And that was something I'd wanted to do since I was a teenager. I wanted to just drive along the Pacific Coast Highway. And I just did that in 2022 because I realized I could have taken the time to do that earlier. But I realized that the main reason I wanted to do that as a teenager was not for the scenery. It was because of the quality of life that trip represented to me personally. And it wasn't until, being in Hex that I had acquired that quality of life. And that's when I took the trip and I was able to just take my time and enjoy it. But I would have liked to continue up the coast and go up into Washington and Oregon. But I cut over to Boise because the guy who did the wrap on my car lives in the Boise area. So I cut across for that. Vets in Crypto says, except for the politics and cost of living, are you a water or land guy? Well, I love the water. I haven't been around it very much in my life. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to take my trip up the coast. It's because I hadn't really been to many bodies of water in my life, which is kind of pathetic because growing up near Philadelphia, the Jersey Shore was only like 2 hours away, maybe. And I only went to the Jersey Shore once as a kid. And then when I was like almost 30, I went to Atlantic City with some people at work. We rented a bus for the day. And, they went to gamble and I went to walk along the beach with its, black sand and gray water. But yeah, I haven't been around water that much in my life. So I would consider myself more of a water guy. Yeah, I would love like a beachfront house or, a house in a beach town. That would be so cool. That would be great. 7% state capital gains tax over 250K. Not the best. Ooh, yeah. I don't know what it is here in Arizona. Last year was the first year I ever had to pay short-term capital gains tax, and I got a crash course in it. But as I told my accountant, paying taxes sucks, but I'd rather be rich and pay taxes than be broke. It's just a fact of life. She did tell me, if you take your stable and you leave it on an exchange like Coinbase for a year, then you'd only have to pay long-term capital gains tax, which is half of short-term. But I hadn't done that yet. And, that's an expensive lesson that I'm learning, but you got to learn what you got to learn. Let's see. Vets says, it was awesome to have meet in one of the previous Vegas trips. I would have to see a picture of you, Vets, to remember. If you're referring to meeting me, I don't remember your face. So that's another reason I want to watch one of your live streams, if not watch them regularly, to refresh my memory, because I don't recall meeting you in Vegas. That one Vegas, the second Vegas meetup was huge. There were so many people to meet to begin with that there's a lot of people that I met that I don't remember. I would need to see a face to refresh my memory. That's kind of why I'm looking for, I really do want to go to Vegas in March. Like I said, even if I go for like a day and a half, I want to go. Wait a minute. Yes, you was in your car with Freddie Quotes one time. I hear you, brother. How can I not remember you then? Because I need to see your face. Because, yeah, I got to watch your streams. Because that's really weird for me to forget someone who was in my car. Especially with Freddie Quotes, because I remember we were driving around Vegas banging. I was showing everybody the ropes of how loud the radio could go. And that's my favorite feature of the car, is not how fast it can go, but how loud the music is. Oh, let's see. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to have to type that in manually, because that link is not coming up as something that I can just click on, at least in StreamYard. I don't have the YouTube window open right now, but I'll just get it on the replay or something. Vet says, you have great taste in music. Thank you. Music is something that has been very definitive for me for much of my life. What I mean by that is, for the first 22 years of my life, it's like music wasn't just something that was entertaining. It was something that helped define who I was as a person. And that was something that I really needed when I was young, because I can look back on my life and realize that practically every problem I've ever had in life stemmed from me not knowing who I am, like not having an identity, not knowing like who I am in relationship to what the truth is about life, not knowing who I am in relationship to who God is. So music really helped fill in that gap for the first 22 years of my life. So I developed an appreciation for music at a young age, not just how I liked it or how I responded to it, but for what went into the production of music, like what an artist has to go through to write a song and to get that song to be accepted and popular. So all of those factors play into my taste in music. Most people, their taste in music, they relate to it as a consumer. Their taste in music is based on how it makes them feel, or something that happened to them, at the time that some particular song came on. With me, my appreciation with music is more below the surface than that. It's like I really relate to music, and my taste in music is based more on the work that goes into making it. Because there are some, there's songs that I feel are very well made songs that I don't particularly like or have kind of outgrown, but I still consider them like really good songs. And, I got this from my dad, because my dad, when he was young, he recorded a radio show from a DJ named Wolfman Jack. And he had these reel-to-reel tapes of recordings from the Wolfman Jack radio show. And my dad showed me how to work his reel-to-reel tape player when I was like, I don't know, 5 years old. So I got turned on to music that was popular in the 50s when I was a little kid. And it just grew from there. And my dad also had a collection of 8-track tapes that was full of classical music. So I went from learning to appreciate rock and roll to learning to appreciate classical music. And I remember when I was in elementary school, we had an assembly one time where we had some classical musicians come in and play stringed instruments, violins, cello, bass, and they were explaining these different instruments to us. And I remember they played, they would play some songs, and they played this song, and they asked us kids, does anybody know the name of this song? And I was only like 3rd grade at this time. And, a couple of kids were like, oh, that's the theme song to the Lone Ranger. And I was the last kid to raise my hand. Lady called on me. I said, the name of that song is called the William Tell Overture. And they all looked at each other like, how does this little kid know this? But my dad taught me to appreciate music. My dad wasn't a musician. He was a truck driver. But yeah, so I went from like 50s rock and roll to classical to trucker music that became popular in the 70s. Songs like Convoy, for example, and 6 Days on the Road. And then I kind of branched off from my dad a little bit, and I got into disco when I was like 7 years old. And my parents thought that was kind of cute, actually, to, watch me dance around the house and sing the Bee Gees. And then yes, one genre of music has led to another. It's beautiful. Hell yeah. Convoy. Is this your longest stream solo thus far? Yeah, this is way longer, very much the longest stream. I had to struggle to go for an hour, and then suddenly here I am, and it's like going on 2.5 hours, and I'm just moving right along. So yeah, this is my longest stream so far. But yeah, I went from disco, and then in like 1980, I think it was maybe 1981, an album was released with all of these songs that were made about video games. Because when I was 9 years old, I got turned on to Space Invaders, and I fell in love with video games. And then, the big video game in like 1980 was Pac-Man. And there were 2 guys that made a song called Pac-Man Fever that I just fell in love with. And then I found out they made a whole album of songs based on video games. So I remember I bought that album, and I like listened to that every day. It was like my big thing. But then MTV came out, and then that just changed everything, because MTV was a way of introducing me to a lot of bands that would be considered classic rock, like around that same time. Like, for example, through MTV, I became aware of a man named Robert Plant. I found out later that Robert Plant was the lead singer of a band named Led Zeppelin. Now, I had heard of Led Zeppelin, but I hadn't heard any of their music up until this time, because they didn't play Led Zeppelin on any of the radio stations that I listened to, which was more of the pop stations at that time. I didn't listen to the rock stations. I didn't really know of any. But it's funny how I learned about Led Zeppelin through Robert Plant instead of vice versa. The same thing with Peter Gabriel. I learned about Genesis through the solo work of Peter Gabriel and Phil Collins. And then they had music on MTV. And then I found out later, oh yeah, those guys were from a band named Genesis. And so that's just an example of how it's kind of like my music was reversed engineered, my appreciation for different bands and stuff, by learning about people's solo careers. And so then from there, I want to address some comments here. Vets and Crypto is like, remember the MTV show called Remote Control? Yes, I do very much. I love that show. Colin Quinn was a great co-host. I remember he did a knockoff of the song Going Back to Cali from LL Cool J. He made a song called Going Back to Brooklyn. That was hilarious. But yeah, Colin Quinn was the man. And of course, Kari Wuhrer wasn't too bad herself as a co-host. She was kind of like the Vanna White of MTV. So Vets and Crypto is like, Kashmir. Dude, that's another song that is kind of noteworthy in my growing up, because one of my favorite movies as a teenager, all these 80s movies that came out in the 80s that I saw, one of my favorites was called Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And there's this scene where one of the characters, his nickname is Rat, and he finally, is going out on a date with this girl. Her name was Stacy. And his friend, Mike Damone, there's this scene where Mike is giving his friend Rat some dating advice. And he sums it up by saying, when it comes down to making out, put on side one of Led Zeppelin 4. And then in the next scene, Rat and this girl Stacy are driving to a restaurant in a car, and there's this song playing that I thought was on Led Zeppelin 4, but I found out it was the song Kashmir that was from the album Physical Graffiti. Because I remember when I found out about Led Zeppelin, the first opportunity that I had to listen to Led Zeppelin after finding that out was when I was visiting with my cousin who lived in another town. And he showed me his tape collection, and he had Led Zeppelin 4. And I'm like, oh, wow, I want to listen to side one of Led Zeppelin 4. And I'm like all excited about it. He's like, why? I'm like, because it was mentioned in the movie and I want to hear it. And he didn't know what I was talking about. And I didn't want to tell him because that would have been kind of awkward. But yeah, he let me listen to it. And that's like, that song wasn't on there. That was in the movie. And that's just because it was the song Kashmir that was on a different album. So I found that out later. But yeah. That's also says, The Breakfast Club, Animal House, and Ferris Bueller. Yeah, I remember seeing The Breakfast Club like when it came out in theaters. I actually had no interest in seeing that. My best friend wanted to see it, and he practically dragged me to see it. And so I thought, okay, I'll go see it with you since you want to see it so much. I mean, he usually wanted to see slasher movies, so the fact that he wanted to see something that actually had a story to it, I thought, okay, I'll go. Because I never really liked the slasher movies, even though I saw almost all of them. Animal House, I got to admit, I never saw Animal House in its entirety. I only seen clips of it. And Ferris Bueller, I saw that movie. To be honest, I really didn't like it. And I think the reason I didn't like it is because I related to the character of Cameron too much. Like, that's the kind of person that I was in school, especially in junior high school. In high school, I was a little more extroverted. But in junior high school, I was just this shy, dopey, introverted kid that was really insecure. And watching that movie kind of reminded me of that. And I think that's why I didn't like it, because I wish I was more like Ferris Bueller, and I wasn't. So, yeah. You know, it's interesting with The Breakfast Club. Looking back, I realize now that I really wasn't mature enough back then in the 80s to appreciate what that movie actually brought to the table as far as, you know, the issues that are addressed in that movie. I was just too immature to appreciate it at the time. It wasn't until many years later I saw that movie again and I realized, you know, I shouldn't have been such an idiot when I was younger and should have, you know, paid more attention. That says, would love to have you on the show, Tim. I'll DM you. Yeah, please do. I'd love to be a guest. I'm pretty much available every day. Wednesday mornings and Saturday mornings, I'm occupied. And then, of course, I take the time to stream myself. So probably if it works out to not have me on a Wednesday or a Saturday would probably be best. But if that's what it has to be, then it has to be. But yeah, I would love to stream with you, especially since you took a ride in my car. Oh man. Yeah, I've been going for 2.5 hours now. So it is actually past my bedtime. And I don't even remember. I'm trying to remember if I brushed my teeth already for the evening. I forgot. Well, yeah, I've been at this for 2.5 hours. And I want to thank everybody for taking some time to come on here, say hello, you know, engage in some dialogue with me. I would stream a lot longer than this. Excuse me. You know, that's one of the reasons I prefer streaming in the morning, is because I have all day to stream. And I would be willing to stream for like, you know, 5-6 hours if need be. If there's interest and engagement, you know, I'm willing to do that. But because of what's been happening the past couple of days, I'm suddenly streaming in the evening. So, yeah. Once I get back into my routine of being able to stream in the morning, I'd be open to doing it all day long. As a matter of fact, my home builder, when I told him I was going to start streaming, he said, yeah. He said, I would do that if I were you. He's like, I would just let me build your house. Let me hire the people to work on your land and do your landscaping. You can do a lot more being online than you would playing in rocks and dirt. So that's the plan. Start streaming in the morning and go all day if need be. But I can't go all night because I'm tired. So again, thank you everybody for stopping by. Like I said, my objective is to stream every day, which is what I've been able to do so far. So I'll probably be on tomorrow evening again, rather in the morning, because I have stuff to do. But anyway, you all have a great evening, rest well, and see you again. Bye.